We all know that the Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund or PM CARES Fund was set up on 28 March 2020 to support the fight against COVID-19 and to help those in distress due to the crisis. Big corporate companies, public sector units donated hundreds of crores to PM CARES. Many citizens, people like you and me, also donated our small savings to PM CARES in good faith since the Prime Minister is the chairperson of the PM CARES. We felt our money would be utilized well. But even so, as citizens or as donor to the PM CARES, we would like to know how PM CARES is using the money it has collected. But the information on the PM CARES website is very sketchy. All we are told is that so far rupees 3100 crore has been allocated for 3 activities. Rupees 2000 crores for supply of 50,000 made in India ventilators to government hospitals run by the centre and state and union territories. Rupees 1000 crore for care of migrant workers. Rupees 100 crore for vaccine development. Based on this information, transparency activist Anjali Bhardwaj filed an RTI at the Ministry of Labour and Employment asking these basic questions. Kindly provide the guidelines issued regarding the utilization of money from PM CARES Fund for the care of migrant workers. Kindly provide the amount of PM CARES Fund allocated to each state and union territory. Kindly provide copies of the related notings or correspondence by the ministry. Instead of replying, the Ministry of Labour and Employment forwarded the RTI queries to the Prime Minister's Office or PMO, which is the head office of the PM CARES Fund. In response, the PMO refused to provide the information saying, and I quote, PM CARES Fund is not a public authority under the ambit of Section 2H of the RTI Act 2005, which in other words means PM CARES is not a public authority because it was not established, constituted, owned, controlled or substantially financed by funds provided by central or state governments. In a similar case, RTI activist Neeraj Sharma asked the National Informatics Centre or NIC to provide certified copies of all communications or instructions received from the PMO for the registration and hosting of the domain pmcares.gov.in. Here again, the information was not shared. The same reason was given that the PM CARES Fund is not a public authority. However, back in August 2007, the then Chief Information Commissioner or CIC, Wajahat Habibullah had clearly stated in one of his orders that if information is held by a public authority, it is obliged to share with a citizen under the Right to Information Act. And the fact that the Prime Minister's Office, the National Informatics Centre and the Ministry of Labour and Employment, all three are public authorities and so are bound to share information under RTI as per former CIC Habibullah's order. And yet, when it comes to the PM CARES Fund, they have simply refused to do so. Transparency activist Commodore Lokesh Batra has also been denied RTI replies linked to the PM CARES Fund multiple times on the same grounds. To set the record straight on whether the PM CARES Fund is a public authority or not, he filed an RTI with the PMO on 28th May asking a direct question. Is the PM CARES Fund an independent authority or does the PMO maintain a record of its activities? When he did not get a reply within 30 days, Batra filed an appeal on the same RTI on 17th July. But again, the PMO has not responded. The question is, why can't the PMO clarify whether it maintains records related to the PM CARES Fund? And since the PMO is the head office of the PM CARES Fund, are its records maintained by PMO employees or by people directly employed by PM CARES? The point being, if the PMO does maintain records of the PM CARES Fund, then it is bound to share those records under the RTI Act. For some reason, we are getting no answers from the PMO, which raises the most pertinent question. Don't the citizens of India who have donated money from their small savings, don't they have the right to know exactly how their hard-earned money has been used by the PM CARES Fund?